In 1979, then Vancouver Central Church, now Oak Ridge Adventist Church, was the home church to most Filipino Adventists in Metro Vancouver. The growing members of the Filipino Adventist inspired a number of families to organize an association, and they named it Filipino Adventist Association of British Columbia. Ben Berto was the first president. In 1980 and 1982, this group held prayer meetings in different houses led by the late Pastor Andy Alcaide. In 1984, Pastor Alcaide organized the first Filipino camp meeting that was held in Camp Shuwarin Youth Camp in Hope, BC. Pastor Honesto Talento from California was the first guest speaker. The Filipino camp meeting now has become an annual tradition. During camp meetings, the organizing committee would always invite people from Washington State, Oregon, and Alberta to reunite with loved ones and friends in Camp Hope. On January 3, 1988, with the rapid growth of Filipino Adventists at then Vancouver Central Church, now Oak Ridge Adventist Church, their church board voted to allow them to begin a separate worship, making the basement of the church as its official gathering. The association officers comprised a core group of leaders whom God used in the early formation of the Filipino churches. In September 1989, this group moved to Deer Lake School on Gilpin Street in Burnaby. On January 27, 1990, the fondest dream of the group became true as they were officially named the Greater Vancouver Filipino-Canadian Seventh-day Adventist Church. The church, with a charter membership of 37, was organized by the BC Conference leadership, led by its president N.C. Sorensen, Communications Secretary Pastor Ken Weeb, Treasurer Pastor Everett Tate, and Associate Pastor Vancouver Central Church, Pastor Dirk Zinner. The first elder of the Filipino church was Elder Levi Labro. Pastor Lindbergh was the first pastor of the church from June 1989 to July 1992. The late Pastor George Atiga, director of the Asian South Pacific Ministry for the Pacific Union Conference of the SDAs, conducted an evangelistic crusade on May 29th to June 21, 1992. At the end of the crusade, 23 souls were baptized. To date, this has been the largest baptism in the history of the Filipino church. The baptism was held at the 9th Annual Camp Meeting in Hope on June 27, 1992. On July 20, 1992, Pastor Armand Fabella became the first Filipino pastor of the Greater Vancouver Filipino Seventh-day Adventist Church. In 1995, the members of the Filipino Adventist Association of BC decided to change its name to officially become a non-profit organization. They would now be called the Filipino Association of Advent Believers in Canada. Since its formation in 1979, they also actively promoted its social activities. When Angie Berto became president from 1987 to 1997, and 2000 to 2001, the energetic, enthusiastic leader of the FAABC helped raise funds to purchase the first Filipino church. On behalf of the association, she handed over $64,000 to the Greater Vancouver Filipino Seventh-day Adventist Church. Under the pastoral leadership of Armand Fabella and his team of officers, the Filipino Church Board bought the Vancouver Chinese Mennonite Church on 235 East 15th Avenue in Vancouver in November 1995 for $615,000. Under her leadership, she actively pursued donors to gather more funds through social activities such as Christmas programs, Valentine programs, picnics, games, bridal and baby showers, and much more. Through fundraising concerts, the FAABC brought musical talents such as the Brown Brothers USA and Yolanda Innocent, to name a few, and many others who came to perform for the FAABC. On September 10, 1994, the Victoria Filipino-Canadian Church Company was established due to the growing Filipino Adventists that resulted in migration of members from Vancouver to Victoria. Pastor Fabella and BC Conference President Pastor Ron Watts graced the opening of the church in Victoria, with the late Elder Don Balaba becoming the first head elder. In March of 1996, the FAABC sponsored the Singles Ministry through its fundraising efforts to support the evangelistic series of The Voice of Prophecy in its 50th anniversary in North Luzon, Philippines. Several other teams from the Greater Vancouver Filipino-Canadian SDA Church also went to the Philippines in the same month to conduct evangelistic campaigns. On January 17, 1998, the Surrey Filipino Group was formed to become the Surrey Filipino Seventh-day Adventist Church. BC Conference President Dr. Rio Ganson, Vice President for Administration Pastor Ken Weeb, and Vice President for Finance Sergi Ferrer, and the Director of Asian South Pacific Ministry for the Pacific Union Conference of the Seventh-day Adventists, the late Pastor George Adiga, were the guests at the official opening of the church. They started with a charter membership of 76. Emisil de la Cruz was the first head elder. In October 1999, Pastor Nestor Santos became the first pastor of the church. On April 27, 2002, the Fraser Valley Church Company was born with a charter membership of 35. Lito Fronda was voted to be the first head elder. BC Conference Ministerial Director Pastor David Ripley came to officially represent the BC Conference as it officially recognized the church's company status. On March 5, 2005, a fourth Filipino church was born with the addition of the Portuguese Hispanic members formally joining forces to become the Abundant Life Community Church Company. Pastor Paulo Macena was sent by BC Conference to lead the flock. With an initial membership of 80, they voted Josue Joe Andalio to be their first head elder. Their first baptism was on June 11, 2005. On December 8, 2005, they joined a community of non-Adventist Christian churches to feed the homeless under the CARE ministry. They fed over 100 people, and this has continued on to this day. Pastor Eli Sakay, the third senior pastor of the Vancouver Filipino Church, initiated the effort to expand the growing membership of the Vancouver Filipino Church. On November 4, 2006, some original members of the Vancouver Filipino Church, led by Elder Levi, formed the Burnaby Filipino Church. They met at the Divisoria Market, which was owned and operated by Elder Levi. They appointed Chody Malabanan as the first head elder. In November 2007, they officially rented the church on Walker Street in Burnaby. On February 19, 2011, Pastor Levi Torres, the fourth Filipino pastor of the Greater Vancouver Filipino-Canadian Seventh-day Adventist Church, delivered the news that the Burnaby Filipino-Canadian Church would now become a company. On July 13, 2013, the company status will now change to officially become the Filipino-Canadian SDA Church of Burnaby. The 5 Filipino churches are active in all fronts. Singles, women's, men's, and seniors ministries are active participants to share the love of Jesus. Bible study was also conducted by Pastor Charles Aguilar Sr., even in a mobile home. The musically gifted Filipinos also shared their passion not only in the church but also in the local community. Pathfinder Group was organized under the leadership of several people: Betty Calagan Aguilar, Jean Enriquez, Abner Olet, Lou Nabong, Linson, and Ching Pedernal. This group generated a lot of support to foster friendships locally and abroad. The children, the future generation of this church, actively participate in church activities. Not only do they belong as Pathfinders, but also members of the children's choir. The Pathfinders traveled and competed at the Oshkosh Campree in Wisconsin, USA. The Singles Ministry also held regular soup kitchens in downtown Vancouver to feed the homeless. The local churches also became a refuge for new immigrants who are seeking assistance as they adjust to their newly adopted country. God uses the church to lead others who are walking in darkness to light. Baptism has consistently risen since the formation of different Filipino churches. The migration of other members from different countries also increased. The future of these churches rely on the dedication and prayers of committed Adventists who will stand up for Jesus until His second coming, where the trumpets of the heavenly music shall sound.